be careful with this because this can sound like an excuse. My dog ate my keys. It sounds like it could be a lie or just an excuse. And, that doesn't always work very well, right? Yes, so you have to be careful with this. But if you want to, you might say something like, we're stuck in traffic. Well, that's just the reality. Phrases for being late. How do we talk about being late for stuff? What if we need to explain why we're late? What if we need to apologize and we're still on the way? We're in the car, we're on the bus, but we know we will be late or we are already late. How do we describe that? How do we explain that in English? Yeah. What if it's just a few minutes? We're just doing one last thing. We're just parking. We're just going up the stairs. And we're very, very close. How do we say that? How do we talk about that? What if we want to express our remorse and apologize when we get there? How do we say that? How do we express that we're grateful that the other person waited for us a little bit? How do we do that? Okay, well, yeah, let's talk about all of it, right? Let's talk about all of it. We're going to start with what we can say, simple phrases, simple things that we can say when we are actually late, okay? So we can simply say, I'm running a bit late. Yeah, I'm running a bit late. I'll be there pretty soon. When will you be here? As soon as I can. If you don't want to commit to a time, then you might just say running a bit late instead of running 10 minutes late. If you want to say 10 minutes late, you can, but as soon as you say 10 minutes late, you are creating an expectation, and if you don't meet it, that could be a problem, right? So sometimes we exaggerate. It may be better to just say a bit late. Another general one we could use there is behind schedule. I'm a bit behind schedule. I'll be there soon. But that could be for other things. It doesn't mean we're arriving somewhere. Maybe we're working on a project and someone's checking in on our progress on the project. How's it going? We're a bit behind schedule. Maybe we're talking about weeks or months. So we're a month behind schedule. We're a month behind where we thought we were going to be by now. So we're a bit behind schedule. That doesn't mean we will be late. That just means we may need to make up the extra work in the meantime, in the time we have left before the deadline. So that can be used for meeting someone in person, driving on the highway, maybe, or for something else going on in your life where you may not meet the deadline and you're behind where you thought you would be, okay? I'm going to be a bit late. This is a great one to let someone know. If it's 2 o'clock now and I just left and it takes 30 minutes for me to get to where you are to meet you, I know I'll get there at 2:30, right? But I was supposed to meet you at 2:15. So it's physically impossible for me to be on time, although I'm not late yet. I know I will be late, but right now it's 2, right? If teleporters are invented in the next 10 minutes, then I might be in luck, but I'm going to be late, basically. So I'm going to be a bit late is what I'll say. Again, a bit, very useful way to not commit to a specific time, okay? Now, sometimes when you say you're late, we just say, I'm really sorry for the delay. That's another one of these that we could use when we're meeting someone, when we're going to be somewhere, right? When we were supposed to start our presentation at 2 and there were some questions and we ended up starting at 2:10. And before we start, we say, okay, everyone, sorry, I know we're 10 minutes late. I'm sorry for the delay. So that can be used more broadly as well. That one is very, very useful. I don't think I'll be on time. Again, could be used more broadly, but that's when there's less certainty. Maybe I don't know that I'm going to be late, but it looks likely that I'm not going to be late. I don't think I'll be on time. And you can, by the way, put in on schedule there if you want to focus on the project sort of thing. I don't think I'll be on schedule. I don't think I'll finish on time. You could add finish there as well. All of those would be okay, right? If you wanted to say, I don't think I am on schedule, that might be right now I'm not sure. if we're going to finish on time. I don't know, right? I'll be a few minutes late, similar to saying I'm going to be a bit late. It's pretty similar, except I want to make it a few minutes instead of, saying, oh, I'll give you a general guess. It's not going to be 2 hours. I'm not going to be 2 hours late. I might be 5 minutes late. I might be 10 minutes late. Who knows? Okay? Now, what if we want to do a bit of explanation? So we've talked about a few of these phrases that we can use to explain that we will be late or we may be late or we're behind schedule. But what about when we want to give an explanation? Now be careful with this because this can sound like an excuse. My dog ate my keys. It sounds like it could be a lie or just an excuse. And, that doesn't always work very well, right? Yes, so you have to be careful with this. But if you want to, you might say something like, we're stuck in traffic. Well, that's just the reality. Usually if you use that one specifically, some people might be understanding, it's not such a big deal. It's out of your control. Stuck in traffic, okay. We're backed up on 85 North. If you wanted to be a little more specific there and say which road you're on, which highway, we're backed up. Stuck in traffic, backed up, same thing. We're backed up on 85 North. Our train was delayed. Okay, so you got on the train and it stopped, or the train you were supposed to take was 10 minutes late arriving at the station. All right, there's an explanation, okay? I got held up at work. I was about to leave. Sorry I'm late for dinner. I was on my way out, and then something happened, and you know how it goes at work. I'm a work guy. And I got held up. Being held up means there was an urgent thing I had to pay attention to, something I had to solve, right? If it's more broad and I'm just really busy, I could say right now, I'm really tied up at work. Being tied up at work means I can't get away. That might not be used for being late, though. That might just be to say, eat dinner without me, that sort of thing, right? How about we missed the bus? Okay, simple. Now it's not really an excuse. I made a mistake. It's my fault. We missed the bus. I missed the bus. My meeting went over. Okay, so nowadays we often have meetings on Zoom or some other place to have video calls, and we say, because often our meeting ends at 1, and then we have another meeting at 1, right? Which is kind of crazy. It used to be, when we did physical meetings, that there'd be a little gap for, going to the bathroom, getting a cup of coffee. Sometimes now we have these back-to-back online meetings, and there's no time between, so one often goes over a few minutes over, and then we have to explain to the next why we're late, and that's usually a reasonable explanation. It just happened, so we say, my meeting went over. My meeting went a bit over. And that is also a really, really common way to explain why you didn't show up on time, why you were late. And again, I'm not telling you that these are necessarily valid or how people will react to this. Just be aware that sometimes it could be viewed as an excuse, unacceptable, and people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear why you're late. You're just late, okay? And that's a problem. Don't tell me why. Don't make excuses. So just be aware. Just be a little bit aware of that. Okay. Now, what about when we're very close? Okay. So maybe this happens to me pretty often. I'm in New York City to meet someone. I arrived 20 minutes ago, but I'm driving around in circles because I can't find a parking spot. In some parts of the city, getting good parking, finding a decent parking spot is difficult. It depends on where you are. It depends on what time it is, but it can be very difficult. So you might call the person you're supposed to meet, and I do this too, and say, I'm parking, I'll be there in 5. Hopefully, when I find a parking spot, right? I'm parking, I'll be there in 5. I've been driving around looking for a parking spot for the last 20 minutes. Almost there, 5 minutes. That would be without really explaining what happened, but just saying, hey, very soon, right? I'm very, very close. And this might be when you feel the other person is getting irritated or getting frustrated and starting to roll their eyes that you're not there, right? Another way we can say this is, I'm 5 minutes out. 5 minutes out. 5 minutes away. Either one of those should be okay. 5 minutes away, and you can just say 5 minutes away. You don't have to always say, I am 5 minutes away. 5 minutes away. You can text that. That's a great text message. Or 5 minutes out. Either one of those should be fine. Again, if you want to use the thing that you're doing, the activity, then you could say that as one sentence and then say how many minutes. Parking, be there in 5. Walking, be there in 5. Getting off the bus, be there in 5. Getting off the subway, I guess that's not one word, but a simple action there. And then say how many minutes in general. Try to be accurate though, right? That's generally a common way to at least make the other person feel like they have an estimate for when you're going to be there. Okay? Now, what happens when we actually arrive, right? What happens when we actually get there and we want to express that we're sorry, right? We want to say, I'm glad you waited for me. Thank you for waiting. I'm very sorry, right? Well, you could say thank you for waiting, just to sort of acknowledge that they have been waiting, right? If you wanted to, you might say sorry for making you wait. Or probably more common, sorry to keep you waiting. Sorry to keep you waiting. Traffic was crazy. Sorry to keep you waiting. My meeting went over. Sorry to keep you waiting. I was looking for a parking spot for half an hour in Midtown. Sorry to keep you waiting. You don't have to add the explanation there. If you want to add it and you feel like it's not going to come across as an excuse, just an explanation to provide some additional context, then okay, maybe you would say sorry to keep you waiting, and then my shoes fell off, or whatever you want to say to explain it. If you want to make it a little more formal, you might say something like, apologies for being late. Apologies for being late. It feels a little more formal, but it's also fine. You might ask, you might say, how long were you waiting? Were you waiting long? Those are both common. Were you waiting long? How long were you waiting? Either one of those would be okay. That might be a way to sort of break the ice there. How long were you waiting? 45 minutes. I'm so sorry. My shoes fell off. I was being chased around by bees. And my meeting went over. Just to break the ice and get the conversation started and get over that awkward moment where, hey, you're the one who was late and that's not so good. All right, so we talked about, in general, how we can explain that we are late or are going to be late. We talked about how we can give an explanation, but that we should be careful because sometimes it can sound like an excuse. We talked about how we can express being almost there, very close, 5 minutes away. And we talked about what we can say when we actually get there, when we are late, and we want to either apologize or at least break the ice. So, if you have any questions about these, let me know. Try to make your own examples. This is the best way to really remember and start using these phrases in your daily life. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and also check out my full courses, including my free course, Natural English Conversations, in the links in the description.